Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Pillow Talk with Jess. I know I've been saying it all season, but this episode is extra special. But before I get into that, I want to thank our official sponsors, Made in Beauty and Dream Aesthetics. So today is a family and friends episode, and I have with me my girl, Canisha.
Hi.
My girl, Black. Adrianna, who's a divorce and transition coach, and my sister, Ty. Ladies, are you guys excited for this conversation just as much as me?
I am.
Yes. So, why the family and friends episode? Well, we have one thing in common, and that's we've either been divorced or in a long-term relationship that ended. And a lot of people have been asking me questions like, how do you transition from being in a marriage, in a long-term relationship, to now being a single mom or navigating through love? And I don't have the answers, but I saw your page and you were divorced.
I was.
And you actually found love.
I sure did.
And you remarried. So I'm going to say this. When I saw your story and your page, I was like, oh my God. Amen. Amen. There's a chance. Right. There's a chance. Right? There's hope out here. Okay? So I wanted to tap into the conversation because all these women here, we've all been through the same thing. And today is not going to be so much of an interview, but more of a conversation.
Yeah.
So I have an introductory question, but then I just want everybody to pitch in and ask your questions as we go. Okay. So, Adrianna, first question that I got, okay, was how do I learn from my experiences without projecting my trauma onto the next man? Hey!
Heavy.
Let's talk about it.
Heavy.
It's heavy because
Let's talk
that
about
is
it.
exactly what I did. So I really coach women to not do that. Self-awareness is key. I thought I was self-aware because I had been single for a little while and I was empowered, y'all.
Right.
Like, nope, never doing that again.
Yes.
I know better. I'm too cute. But you don't really know until you're emotionally connected with someone what your triggers are, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you think you've healed, you think you've worked on certain things until someone is trying to love you.
Wow.
And you're scared.
Yeah.
So you kind of instinctively have this like guard that comes up, and if you don't catch it, they're going to be like, she's not ready.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be self-aware. If you make the decision to be ready, that comes with mentally, emotionally, and physically, which means that you have to act like you really want someone in your life, right?
Yeah.
I completely did the opposite of everything I'm telling y'all right now.
Wow.
And my husband had to kind of check me when we were dating and was like, that's a personal problem.
Oh.
He was like, I think you still got some things you need to sort out, because I was getting upset with him about things that reminded me of my ex. And the problem with divorce is everything will probably remind you of your ex.
Right.
Every single thing. So I had to really apologize to him and to myself. And I had to say, you're not the same woman that you were when you were married before. So you have to trust yourself that you won't make the same decisions, so that you don't have to act crazy when you see a thing and assume that it's something else.
I like that. So I'm going to tap into that. I just want to know, what's everybody's situation? So
I'm actually separated from my husband
Okay.
8 months in, haven't filed for divorce. We're on that track to do that. So that's my current status.
okay.
Divorce of 9 years.
9 years.
9.
Divorce.
Yes, I just had to calculate it because I was stuck on 5. And I was like, wait. Oh, 9.
It's been some time.
Yeah.
And Ty, I know, but
Separated.
yeah,
3 years.
3 years separation. So have you guys been through trauma? Have you guys been dating? Like, how has that been? And how do you answer that question? Like, Adrianna, because I mean, it's true. It really says, how do you stop yourself from projecting your traumas onto someone else? I personally feel like there's work to do with ourselves for sure, right? Because as for me, I've said that in another episode. Like right now, I have like trust issues. There were certain things in my past relationship that I'm like, you could tell me the sky is blue, and I'm gonna be like, you a damn lie is green. Okay.
So just like how I was.
Like, right? Like that's how I am. So I know I have work to do with myself, but I absolutely feel like whoever I'm going to be with next needs to make me feel secure within our relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like if they give me the security that I need emotionally, then I'll be able to open up to them. Right? So what do you guys think about that?
So for me, honestly, I haven't never really been taught how to take care of myself, be here for myself, love myself. I wasn't raised to think like that. I was raised with a different agenda. And so now being in this particular situation, I feel like focusing on me, getting to know me, building me up. Because one thing I don't want to do is, because I do want love. I do want the security. I do want to be potentially married again. But I feel like if I love myself 100%, then I'm not looking for you to love me in certain kind of instances that it's already been done.
Right.
So I feel like once I focus on myself, I'll attract different. I'll attract a whole man because I'll be at that point a whole woman.
That's such a good point.
That was so good.
Yeah, that's my insight.
I love that. And Black, what about you?
For myself, I think I went through a phase of being afraid, not trusting,
Yeah.
just about me. I didn't care about the men that I was dating. I didn't. Because I felt like, I don't care about us. I ain't caring about you.
Right.
Can't beat them, join them. But certain stuff started waking me up because guys would ask, like, if your husband came back, would you go back to him?
Okay.
So that got me to thinking like, I ain't really this girl. I'm just projecting. I'm just acting out.
Right.
So I had to be like, okay, let's come back. Let's come back. But I think now it's 9 years. And I want to say something too. Not only did I look out for guys that was like my ex-husband, but I also look for guys like my ex-husband. And what I mean by that, he wasn't all bad.
Okay.
Right.
It was a part that he showed me that now guys have to meet that level.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, he was the only one that showed me like best friend love. Everywhere we went, like we was inseparable. You know what I mean? So now the stuff that, the stuff that's coming now, you don't want to open a car door. You don't want to, I'm not used to that. I came from, he turned out bad, but he showed me good what I deserve. You know what I'm saying? And so with that, it made me be like, ugh. Like that's a double thing. Like, you got to come as far as, but we ain't going to talk about what he did bad. I don't want that either. So I was going through both of them. It's like, I need the man to do this, but I'm watching out for it too. But also I learned sometimes the duck is not a duck. It might be a quail. It might be a crow, and you're just grouping all the birds together. Exactly. And so I had to kind of separate that and come out the trauma that she's talking about. Because at first I was like, y'all all the same.
Exactly. See?
It was like watching a paint, like tick, tick, tock. Yeah, you saying that, okay, about 2 months, you're going to start showing your true colors. And so that's kind of where I was watching the clock.
About that.
No, seriously, with the whole delay, because you're going to show your true colors, that's the reason why, I don't want to jump the gun, but that's the reason why I'm not having sex after my divorce. Because I feel like initially it's attraction, it's lust, it's hormones. After we have sex, then what?
Right.
Because the relationship is hard. Sex is easy.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, before I catch a whole bunch of body bags, let me go ahead and just cut the water, the main water line off. Cut it off. And then go back in it with a different intention. And I just ain't doing that.
I like that. Ty, how did you not project?
Oh.
I know.
Yeah, doing the work. I mean, for me, I feel like I'm not someone who's really been single long. Like I've always been in a long term or something. So with my last situation, it was so easy to kind of get caught up. Like being a nurturer, being someone that pours into people, right? And like love someone for the wrong reasons. And I had to really like, wait a minute. I'm not that girl I was 7 years ago. I'm not that girl I was 5 months ago or whatever, right? So to take that time and really like focus on myself You know, we talked about working on yourself, what you look like, the mental.
Mental.
Right? Like, so that you don't project certain things onto your next person. That's growth, because, man, it's so easy to, you know?
Yeah.
So just working on yourself.
Yeah.
Working on yourself is very important. Did you want to add anything else?
I mean, every single thing that everyone said is a part of what even my journey was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had severe trust issues. Literally, the example you gave of if you told me the sky was blue, I would look up to check. I would say that all the time because I don't believe anything that comes out of your mouth at all. Yeah. So I was her. I was so many different versions of myself though after divorce. And at some point I was just kind of like, okay, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like, is this it?
Yeah.
The one thing that I want everybody to know is that regardless of what that relationship was like for you, you do not want to let it hold you emotionally hostage because you will be stuck for a while.
I believe it.
And it's not worth it.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not. I chose to use that divorce to help me find my husband. That's exactly what I did. Yeah. I really believe that it's possible for us, but it does require work.
And you know, I like the fact that you said you didn't want to be stuck, right? Like for me, I feel like it took me a while to walk away from my relationship because I was like, who am I without him? We were together for so long. Pretty much grew up together, right? So now I'm like, well, if I don't have that piece of me, who am I? Who is Jessica without this person?
Yeah.
But I didn't like who I was becoming. I had already lost myself in that relationship, right? So I said, I have to find my happiness.
Yes.
And I had to walk away.
I'm so glad you did that.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of found peace in that, but it's hard. It's hard to walk away. And what does life look like after divorce? So for you, what did it look like?
Believe it or not, I'm going to roll back a little bit because before I was married, I was a single mom.
Okay.
So I was a teen mom. I got pregnant on my first time. Yes, I'm pretty sure I got pregnant off pre-cum, but we're not even going to talk about that. We're not even going to talk about that. I was 17.
It's another conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. I was 17 a few weeks before my 18th birthday. So I truly went through, when I say different things in my mind, it went from, okay, I'm a teen mom. What do I need to do?
Right.
So then I went in. I ended up getting so many jobs, building my credit, buying a house at 21, being an assistant manager for a finance company. I was like, let's go.
Okay.
But I was so focused on that part that I picked somebody, had 2 more kids, and came out the marriage with 3.
Oh.
By the time I was 25.
Hey.
So after my divorce, I was pissed. I was like, what the hell am I, like, what am I doing?
Right.
Yeah.
What is going on? Now I got 3 of y'all?
Three.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of y'all now. And it's just me.
Outnumbered.
How did I get baby daddy twice?
Yes.
Like, how did this happen? I was so angry, but I was mainly angry at myself because I felt like, Adrianna, you know better. How are you the same person that bought a house with a 720 credit score at 21 years old? Wow. And then you pick somebody that makes you almost lose everything. How does that work?
That's the
I
thing.
actually want to say something to that because you hit some things, you hit some triggers in me. One thing as far as, so my husband decided he wanted to end the marriage, right? So
he decided.
He decided. So I had to kind of settle with that. And it was like, whoa, how? Like, you know, where did I miss the signs? I really realized like I was the one that had the loaded gun in my hand ready to pull a trigger, asking for certain things, but he snatched it from me and he shot the marriage. He shot it.
Wow.
So when you talk about how did I let this happen again, it was a phase where I'm like, you know, he did this, he did that, he's this. But then I had to say, no, Canisha, you allowed it.
Exactly.
So we need to focus on not what he did, but why you allowed this to happen to you. How did you let it go this long?
You're right.
So I'm like, we so easily to focus on what a man does to us instead of focusing on why are we allowing him to do it.
Oh,
What
my
about
goodness.
us is missing to allow this to go this long? So I mean, to the point that what you're saying, it was triggering for me because that's kind of where I've been. That's what I'm working out of. And as far as attraction. Like one thing that I've discovered in my journey, my 8-month journey, is you attracted this man based off of the trauma
Yep.
and who you were
Yes.
before.
Yep.
So, of course, as you grow and come into who you're supposed to be, your natural form, of course those things are gonna die.
Right,
Of course those things are gonna follow. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, you had to go.
Yeah.
I had to shed that because I'm not that woman anymore. Because that trauma-filled childhood, trauma-filled
Yep.
woman is what attracted you.
Trauma bonds.
You just said a word, girl. A whole word, for real. Like that is literally the process, not only that I went through, but that I even teach women, because it's less to do with him, because he can only do what you let him.
Period.
That's true.
Of course, there are some cases where people deal with like physical abuse and things that is beyond their control. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the list of things you have in your mind that makes you say, why didn't I leave before it got to where I didn't have a choice? Why did I keep giving him a chance and keep making excuses? What was it? And it has to do with the lack of self-love.
But we know why.
I was going to say, 'cause
We know.
We know why. I love him.
But and
Right.
and we
I
think
love
that means
him.
something.
We have X amount of years in. We have a family. We're married. We have this. We're that. Public appearances. That feeling of I let myself down.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like I failed. You know, for those people who are that, again, the public appearances, oh, it's this, we're that. And then you break up and it's like, damn, how do I face that publicly?
Yeah.
It's true.
But I feel like even all of those reasons have nothing to do with you.
Right? I agree.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why we stay in marriages for our kids.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not that it's a bad thing, but it's detrimental because I started to become somebody that I didn't even recognize.
Yeah.
I looked at old videos of myself and I weighed 205 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even know until I looked. I was depressed, didn't even know it until I got out. I'm pretty sure I went through postpartum, but I was too afraid to verify that because I was like, oh my God, if I really have postpartum, who's going to take care of me?
Right.
So we have reasons, but it's like, what about you?
Yeah.
So mine was religion, and first it was religion, and then once I divorced, it was the love that got me caught up. So you hear people. Well, first I'm gonna say the religion.
Okay.
The religion thing for me was, I tried to be that person who studied marriage before I got into the marriage.
Okay.
I would ask old people like, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? So how long you been married? So once I was in it, what killed me there is because I didn't want to disappoint God. So I kept saying like, you can renew this thing, right? You know what I'm saying? He's your son. I'm just saying, you know, it got it out, like get it together. So I felt like the first year it happened was infidelity, and I kept asking God, like, are you gonna renew it or can I go? Because you said I can go if it's infidelity, but I'm just trying to say, are you gonna renew this thing?
Right.
Once I saw the mistake was an error, like this was just who he was.
Yeah.
I kept asking God. I said, give me a sign. Give me a sign. God, I'm sure he had a field day giggling because he was like, girl, I didn't gave you 5 billion of them. You still trying to be this holy roly. I don't know for who. But once I talked to a mother who I knew she was a ride or die Christian, when she said, and then say, pray hard, I said, say no more.
Really? Say less.
I called her with the notion of,
Yeah.
if Miss King say stay, I'll fight it another year. Miss King said, baby, I don't know. I said, it's okay, I know. And so I got out of it, but we rekindled after 4 years.
Okay.
Went back, and that's when I realized this whole thing about you hear people say, but I love him or I love her. You'll never stop loving a person if you genuinely love them. Yeah. That does not mean you are supposed to stay with them.
Right.
So when I went back that second time, it was very clear to me. It's like, you'll never stop loving this man.
Right.
You married him for the right reason. Regardless of what he did it for, you love him. So it doesn't matter. So go on about your business. Just know that he's always got a little piece of your heart.
Right.
And that's just that. But that's what got me caught up.
See, that's good too, because again, I'm kind of like the baby in this.
Yeah.
And I've been through so many phases. And another phase that I'm in is just like, now that the emotions are kind of dissipating, I'm able to see things from a different angle. And like I said, I had the loaded gun on my lap the whole time, ready to pull a trigger, but I just didn't do it because I'm relentless. I'm a problem solver. I'm trying to figure it out. Because it wasn't no beating, it wasn't no cheating.
Okay.
He came home and gave his check. He was a good father. All of those things. So when you cross-reference him to society, it's like, no, stay where you at.
Right.
But one thing is that we never got to me. We never got to like my grievances or my needs or any of that, because we just trying to tackle the kids, the bills, the everything else, and the towering duties.
Right.
But it's like, you know, when you think about why you stay, for me, I compromised a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
And I never put me first, to the point where he would say, focus on yourself.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
what?
He had the nerve to say it. And I was like, what do you mean focus on yourself? And it wasn't until this has happened that I'm really finally realizing what that means. And now can't nobody stop me focusing on myself.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking
I was
about.
just telling her earlier. I was like, it's so crazy because we are trained, whether it's indirect or directly, we're trained to be pleasing to people
Right.
as women.
Yeah.
But they hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Men internally, I feel like they dislike that about us. They don't really want somebody they can push over.
Right.
If they're gonna do it, but they're looking at you like you're weak. And
Right.
that's what I learned. Is
think
like
that
you're
happened to
steady
me.
trying to be a people pleaser. And he like, yeah, watch this.
No,
See, she
can
finna
have a
pick it up.
backbone.
See, she finna pick it
Yeah.
up. You know what I'm saying? And we like,
Yeah.
I'm your wife. I got everything. He looking at you like, girl.
Why are we like that though? What did we get as children or young women
or not get.
or not?
Oh.
Yeah.
But I know we did get lies from my grandparents
Yeah.
because I
Well, that's
I
the
really
holding
believe
face. That's the
this.
keeping face.
Like,
The parents.
Yes, grandparents have told us we've been together for these many years.
Right.
Not
In
saying
separate
that
rooms.
the
Separate
reason why
rooms
I've
for
been with
30 of
Papa
them.
is because I've been settling. Not saying that I know it's 6 women down the street got his baby, but I'm just staying together because
That's crazy.
it's not good to be divorced.
No.
So they
Yeah.
taught us to set in
Dysfunction.
crap. You know what I'm saying? And not be truthful, not be transparent to us. And so we're looking at like, well, grandma stayed together.
That's true.
And we don't even know why they stayed together.
Right.
We don't know what hell she went through
Because
in
they
that.
clearly weren't happy.
Right. And that actually matters. The reasons why actually matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta teach our young girls, our daughters, for real.
Oh man, my daughter's
Yeah.
gonna be so smooth. I'm gonna tell them, you go get your MRS degree while you in college. Snatch him while he young and you can mold him. They gonna be ready. and my
I
husband
did that.
agreed.
But even
I
with
met my
that-
husband at 18.
No. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm
We
not
were
saying
in
to get
college.
married at
Oh,
18.
I met my ex in college.
You were what?
I
met my ex in college.
21 years.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you're doing while you're together.
Well, that part.
Having
Being
babies.
and I was
That's
gonna
saying still, what was your initial motives
So
getting
in
together?
those
in the first
All that.
place.
Yeah.
Because you see, she said she met her ex in college. Do you want to talk about that experience a little bit?
I
Like,
thought I did it the right
yeah,
way.
right. Yeah.
You know, the whole don't meet your partner at the club or whatever. I thought I did the right way. We went to school together, undergrad, grad school. We grew up together, like Jess said, you know, and when we decided to be together, it was like, okay, you're going in this direction, I'm going in this direction, and we're going to do this together. We blended families. We had similar aspirations and goals.
Yeah.
And some way along like the line, like we lost that. Till this day, I still can't tell you what happened. Like you said, there was no beef. We just grew apart. And for me, if someone has stuff, baggage, we all have stuff. If you don't address it, it shows up in every aspect of your life.
Absolutely.
It shows up in the
Yes.
professional setting. It shows up in the friend type of settings. It shows up in the personal settings, right? The one-on-one relationships. It shows up. It rears its head.
It does.
And I feel like in that situation, I couldn't love this person through their pain. No matter how, like you, relentless. I would like to think I'm the same way. Like, oh, we got a problem? Okay, like, you know, I'm like executing, okay? What do you need from me? How do I help you? I can't help you if you don't talk to me. I can't help you if you don't this, right? And when he started talking, I was like, all right, stop.
No, that's
I'm good. Like, no. You know, like, I got to the point where I'm like, I'm torturing myself.
Right.
I can't love you through that. You need to fix that, or you won't ever be good for yourself or anyone else.
Acknowledge that.
By the time my ex and my situation, we talked through it and had like a really hard and emotional one-on-one. Our situation went 0 to 100. We broke up. So I don't know.
Wow. I will say that if I were to have my daughters meet who they're going to be with when they're in college, I would be very intentional about the mindset. of that person and the family they came from. Because everything that we just said, their parents should be having these conversations with them. This shouldn't, you bringing something up to him should not be the first time he's heard it. You know what I mean? So the only way that works is if there's some type of intention across the board from both sides. Other than that, it's not gonna work. It's gonna
Now
be
I'll be
sad.
like, so what's your family history in medical?
Yes.
That has all
That's
kind of
real.
questions. My friend's like, you gonna scare them away?
No.
I need to know.
Yes.
I need to
Those
know
are the
if I
hard
have a baby and my baby bipolar.
Exactly.
No, what is the medical
need to
history
know.
in your family?
No, that's real.
No, those are
Like,
hard
seriously.
questions that need to be.
Those are good
I'm
questions.
asking all the questions.
But we don't learn about these questions until,
You're
unfortunately,
in it.
after
You're
we
there.
exactly.
Right, exactly.
But can you imagine pouring that wisdom into a younger you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like,
I'm doing
yes,
for my
that's
girl.
what I'm saying. I wish my daughters would. I'd be like, come on now.
That's the biggest takeaway for me is that no matter where someone is going or where they're at now,
Right.
like how were you raised?
Exactly.
Who raised
That's
you?
great. Literally.
Who raised you? What
Literally.
are your values? What do
Yep.
you care about? What do you
And-
what do you guys not talk about that needs to be discussed? Like,
Yes.
you know, like stuff like that.
And it's
then-
really to have the hard conversations, right? As you said, like, who raised you?
raised you?
Who raised you? And for me, the biggest thing, like, is we have to be aligned. We have to have the same core values.
Yes.
Not just the same values, but the same core values in order to move forward.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
the parenting skills.
Yes, something.
That is
Religion, right? When you have kids, what religion are they
What are we
gonna
teaching them?
practice? Like,
Exactly.
what do we-
You can have the same goals all day, but if you don't have the same values, it's a wrap.
yeah.
Mine says, what's your resolution game?
Okay.
Because
Good one.
at the end of the day, I think that's basically where, you know, my marriage just dissolved from is the fact that we can't resolve anything.
Yeah.
Right? You know, there's a thing that I've been learning about attachment, your attachment styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I believe he was dismissive, avoidant. You know, just did not want to deal with any kind of conflict.
Yes.
So I believe I'm anxious,
Right.
avoidant, right? And those two, for some reason, what I'm understanding is that they attract each other. And it just was a unnecessary pattern that we kept going into. So it's like we couldn't even really hear each other, right? And that's what I'm looking for is a person to be vulnerable,
Yes.
considerate, and willing to say the hard things
Right.
and be upfront, right? And communicate, use your words because all we want is understanding,
Yes.
clarity.
Yes.
Come you. Yes.
That's my song. I played up like, see, this is
It's just one song.
Yeah, that's just like that's this one song. That is my song. So I want to know: has divorce changed your views on marriage at all? Like, any one of you want to get married again?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, amazing.
And I tell people, they're like, would you, once they hear the whole story, it's going to go on film. They just knew you. But they're like, after all that, you'll get married again? Yes.
Yeah.
Because I love marriage.
Yes.
And I also feel like that's too much power to give a person.
Uh-huh.
To have him to say, oh, she couldn't marry somebody after me.
Right.
No,
now.
baby. No, that's not going to happen.
That's a good way to think about
Because
it.
no, I deserve what I deserve, and I deserve what God promised me.
Yes.
So I'm not finna just let that go just because you did not want to do this dance anymore. So no, I'm still trying to find my next partner.
Yeah, me too. You know what? I believe the same thing. I want to get married again, you know? And I make it clear. Anybody that I date, I'm like, I want to get married again. I loved being married.
Yes.
I love the companionship. I love the pillow talk, okay, that we had at night. I loved it. I love having a built-in best friend. You know what I'm saying? And I'm someone that loves love.
Yeah.
I love it. I love being in love. I love that, you know, mushy feeling, the butterflies and everything. So
Are you hopeless romantic?
I'm really corny. And my sister knows, but I'm like, oh
like,
my
no.
God, he gives me the fuzzies.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get married again, but I have certain standards and expectations that, because I've learned from that, you know? And the reason why I left my marriage, I didn't like who I was becoming.
Yes.
I wasn't nice to him, you know, anymore because he has done stuff that changed me. And I will never allow anybody to change me that way again, right? So the way I am coming into the relationship is the same way that I want to be throughout the relationship. But that's because of the way you make me feel throughout, right? So good. So y'all want to get married again? Can I get an invite to the future wedding? You know, if y'all looking for a husband. Okay, so let me see. So how did the divorce impact your children, right? The divorce or the separation, like how did they take that? Ty, I'll start with you.
It was hard. You know, you spend this amount of time in your life pouring into your home life, right? Your children, your partner, your extended family, right? The aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, right? And then one day it goes away.
Yeah.
For little people, they're relentless, but that's hard.
It is.
Just understanding that. For me, like I had to get my kids therapy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, as educated as I am, as this and that, and you know, the problem solving type of mom, I'm like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not equipped to break down whatever it is in your mind you're thinking. Are you thinking it was my fault? Because kids they're kids.
Yeah.
They don't know, right? Like, especially if it's a situation where households are now divided. Like, you're going to live with this parent, this one's going to live with this parent.
It's a lot.
It's hard. It is hard, right?
And you're
And
going
it's
through it yourself too, so that's
Yes.
very wise to
Right.
just give it over to someone else.
absolutely. So just therapy and just being understanding, right? Because for you, the adult, you have a perspective, you have, you know, certain insight because you're in it or you've been in it. But from a child's vantage point, it's just so,
It's a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough.
And how was it for your children?
So for my children, like I said, I had one child prior to my marriage. So she saw the marriage. She was part of why I left the marriage.
Okay.
Because I didn't like what she was seeing. When it came to him, me, and us.
Yeah.
My younger two were too little to know anything. But I think my son still had moments where he would like see his dad smack my butt. So I think he still remembers that.
Yeah.
But I really had to have conversations with my daughter because I believe she was like 7 by the time I think it was over or when I was about to start trying again. But I was a stepmom in that marriage. So I had to deal with no longer even seeing a child that I was raising, you know? And it affected my daughter because she had a hard time with her at first because she's like, where does this little girl come from? Why is she calling me mom? And then she started to get acclimated with her and felt like she was her sister. And then she watched her literally get dragged out of my house because they moved in with me. So I had to talk to her a lot just to get her understanding and her thoughts. And surprisingly, she told me she wanted me to get married again.
Oh.
She told me that she wanted a stepdad.
Wow.
And I was like, are you serious? She was like, yeah, because I didn't really like him. I had a stepdad growing up that I didn't like.
Okay.
So I was very aware to just have conversations with her about her thoughts, especially because she was of age to know, a little bit of things. Yeah. So when I talked to her, she was extremely open because she was like, I see how you are. She's 12 now. So she's like, I see how you were then versus now. And like, all my kids want to get married. My kids are 12, 7, and 5.
Wow.
So the younger two, I feel that my husband is Nigerian American. So he's very different than both of my kids' dads. So I feel that his presence and the way that he is so different that I had to have more conversations with them about like just knowing how to just follow directions than my divorce. My younger two kids, I mean, their dads are all still active, but my younger two kids have seen me and my husband. Like that's the norm for them.
Right.
Like completely. And my oldest daughter wanted to call my husband dad.
Oh.
So I talked to her a lot and we still talk about the marriage that I was in. And she was like, Mama, I don't know what you were doing. Like, like she'll tell me straight up now, like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. Like you were doing, she would think about all the things that I would do and just the survival mode, the hustle mode. Like, you remember when you took me to DoorDash with him? I just told y'all about House at 21, right? I was door dashing,
Right. Okay.
Instacarting. It got to that point, and she's like, "I remember we was in the car," and I was like, "Don't remember that."
No, she should.
The thing is, oh my God, the thing is with her, I love the fact that she knows. She doesn't know exactly what it was, but she knows enough to know I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Because I don't understand. You bought a house for me, but why are you doing this?
Right.
You know,
Right.
because she was 3 when I bought a house. So we had a lot of conversations, but they were not at a stage to really understand the gravity of what happened with the younger two. My youngest was, she was still in diapers when I asked for a divorce, because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to have a baby in my hip. If this means I get peace, I'll just do what I got to do. And like I said, now that's just the norm for them. They just, they don't know anything besides my marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Like, you don't have kids.
Well, I married into, I was a stepmom.
Man.
So I'm glad that you said that, because I was like, I didn't have any of my own.
Right.
But
But
I still was affected by marrying someone that had a child, because that was my baby.
right.
And so I was affected because I felt like I got left
Right.
in the dirt. He didn't make her do anything.
Okay.
You know, it was like, yeah, we're gone. You ain't got to call it no more. You ain't got to do
Same.
nothing.
Oh.
And so it was very hurtful.
Same.
Because I was an advocate for that baby with her mom, who was not a bona fide mom. So I was the one who called out when she had a learning disability or hygiene problems that I felt like was failing behind, that I notified my husband to be like, yo, something is not right over there. Like, she shouldn't be at this stage at 5 or 6. And so when he got snatched from me, I just felt very robbed.
Yeah.
And besides that, as far as like me and him, I had decided to not give a child after 1 year of marriage, because he cheated the first year.
Okay.
So for me, it was like, click.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And I saw how he was treating his own daughter. That was another thing. During the dating phase, you were proud dad.
Right.
You had a picture of her in your rearview mirror. You had it all in your phone. So as a dater, I tried to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Did not have sex with him until 3 days after we got married. I said I
Oh.
was doing everything different. Okay?
She's like,
That's because we both were worker bees. So after we got married, it just kind of, okay, I'll see you this weekend.
The first time?
Sure. I mean, I had
She didn't test drive.
I had other cars and still didn't come out the lot. So I felt like, let's try it differently this time, right?
Did you at least see the car?
So I felt the car. I just didn't drive.
she knew what she was working with. She just didn't drive it off the lot.
But my point is like, what he made it look like he was this dad, and I was like, oh my God, my womb was just
Right. Yeah.
Girl.
No. Alas.
Once got married, now we're living together. Now I get to see the everyday routine. You go get her every 2 weeks, and I'm noticing like, oh, you're one of those dads. See, I was that child that had a dad just like you, so I know firsthand.
Yeah.
You pick the child up, you parade her around, but then you drop her off to someone else.
Wow.
Okay, so for me as a stepmom, I was trying to be an advocate for that baby, because I was like, you are teaching her that you're just a bank
Correct.
and a candy man. You're not instilling any values in her. You pick her up, you take her to your friend's house, and then you bring her home like 11, 12 at night.
Oh, no.
Then you try to make me feel good. It was like, well, you the one need to get to know her. I'm like, I
How?
can take her to Africa and back. Point, I was married to a West African.
Oh,
I can take her to Africa and back, and at the end of the day, she's going to say, where's my daddy?
Right.
She's here for you.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's not do that. But I didn't know nothing because I was a teacher and I thought I knew everything. But anywho, I was distraught when my baby got snatched from me. Now I got to look at her on Instagram and Facebook and watch her still not being taken care of, because now I see her in crop tops and booty shorts dancing on the ground.
Okay.
And I got to still call my ex to be like, why y'all not watching her? So I'm still advocating for her, even in divorce.
after
So
that,
Okay.
it's very hurtful
Okay.
when it involves kids, period.
And what about you, Canisha?
So I actually got emotional listening to you when it related to the, your children and, not having the proper tools to help them. I'm a very intuitive and insightful person. I'm not a proclaimed coach or therapist or anything like that, but I have insight and I know my children. But at the same time, with me grieving and going through all what I was going through, it's like I didn't know how to really even be there for them. Because I was raised by a single mom. I didn't see successful marriage.
Yeah.
So I wasn't equipped for any of what this looks like. Now I know how to be a single mom. I've
Right.
seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? But being a now upcoming divorcee, I don't know what this looks like. This is a new territory. What are my kids going to deal with? All that comes along with that aftermath. But one thing that struck me was just seeing the light dim in my kids' eyes of not knowing which way they're going to go.
Yeah.
And them seeing their dad slowly detach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I can't help it. I can't change it. I can't shield it. I can't do nothing about it as a problem solver, as a solution-based thinker. I can't do nothing with it. But at the same time, I can barely get out of bed. I literally got weights on me. I ain't never been a person that couldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
And I've been faced with that. And my kids have to look.
You're still mom.
check
You're
on
still the
me.
best. Yeah.
You know, and I'm a music head, and I love taking showers. Like I think I take like 3 showers a day. It's so bad. And my son, he's like, "Mom, so you going in the shower to go cry again?" So I'm like,
Oh.
"So you hearing me?"
Yeah.
And but I couldn't hide it. I couldn't. It was a spiral. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But it's
So-
okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
what
I've
I
had
was
to learn
teaching
the
them.
hard way. It's okay for your children to see you in that element.
It is.
As long as they're seeing you on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
To know that, okay, we all have that. We get through it. It's part of
That's what I've been
life.
teaching them. I've been like, I am nothing but an example in front
Right.
of you, and it's transparent and ugly. This is life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure you're taking notes on what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it don't need to be 2 of us making the same mistake. It
Right.
don't need to
My
be like,
goodness.
oh, mama did it, so why can't I do it? No.
Right.
Oh, daddy did it.
No.
Why can I do
Yeah.
it? No. You don't get permission to be a duplicate.
Yeah. No, I
I
get
was
it.
just telling a friend the same thing about it's okay to be hurt in front of your kids. I was like, 'cause that's a new teaching moment. You know, I was like, sometimes kids can give you energy.
Yes.
Let them catch you.
Out of the mouth of
Yeah, you
babes.
know what I'm saying? So sometimes I was like, get them in the living room and ask them how they feel about the situation, and y'all cry together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't hide because
Yeah.
they are so attention on daddy is strong, daddy is strong. Then when you break down, they like,
Right.
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 yeah,
Right.
you know what I'm
from?
saying?
Right.
So let them know that you're human.
Yeah.
And that they could be there for you just as well as vice versa. So
And that's very important because for them to see that you're human, because although it's been 3 years, I still cry. You know, like I still cry, I still hurt, you know. And sometimes my son is like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, it's like I have this beautiful home. So I moved from Canada to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And when I got here, every single day, although I have this beautiful home, I have a career, I have all of that, I cried, boo-hoo cried every single day because I'm like, I don't have anyone to share that with, you know? But my son, he saw me one time and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I had to tell him, "I'm okay, but I'm a little bit sad," you know? And he's like, "Mommy, why are you sad?" And I had to explain to him that it's okay, you know, it's just I'm thinking about how our life was when daddy was in the house, you know? And he opened up and he said, you know, he also misses his dad or whatnot. But I think for them to see us as human is like really important, you know?
Yes, it is.
So-
I can't tell you. I'm on a different side of life after divorce,
Yeah.
being remarried with kids who are asking questions.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
So I have 2 sets of kids that are now like, okay, this is the norm now, but I have memories, you know?
Yeah.
I do have little things. I do see my dad every weekend. So there's the questions of, well, Mom, how come you can't come with me to go to daddy's house?
Right.
You know, how come
Yeah.
we can't be under the same roof?
Yeah.
And there's questions with my daughter. She's older, so she's like, how come you and my dad didn't work?
Mm.
Did you guys get married? Was I a mistake? What happened?
Yeah.
You know, like what, you know, I see you're happy and you've figured things out now, but I had to tell her I was a child when I had you.
Yeah.
And she asked, like, was I a mistake? I said, you weren't a mistake, but
You weren't playing.
you weren't playing.
You weren't playing, yes.
But you were made with love.
Yes, yes, that part.
You were made with love.
That part.
And I would tell her, I'll have frank conversations with her, and I'll tell her why we didn't work. I'll tell her there's certain things about your dad that I realized that I don't like.
I get it.
I want you to love him as your father, but as your mom, I had to figure out what works for me. So you can love your dad, but the reason why we didn't work from my perspective is X, Y, Z. So I want you to just be aware. And I have a son who's telling me, Mommy, I want to live with my dad. I want to live with my dad. So I've had conversations with my husband, because my husband will be like, this boy's really saying that. He's 7 now, but he's been saying this since he was 5.
Okay.
So I have to and not internalize, but I have to handle certain conversations where I know what's best for him, but he doesn't, because he's a child,
right.
And not allow it to get me to the point where I'm like angry or upset, but understanding, because it's like, okay, how do I tell this child that you can make that decision when you get a little bit older,
Right.
but right now you're going to be with me,
Exactly.
you know,
I've been through
without it seeming like,
You're
you're the bad guy. So I keep conversations so open with those two, because when they start asking questions, it's important. But I will say the best thing I could have done with that transition is show them what a solid, stable, healthy love looks like, because they were not going to see it anywhere else. And they're not going to see it outside of our home.
Right.
And I knew this.
Yes.
So I was like, you can go to your daddy. And we get a break. Go have your fun.
I've been through that.
And hopefully as you get older, you'll be like, you know what? Maybe I'll stay here a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But if you choose not to, I've told my ex, I've told my husband, and I've told my son, if you still feel this way at 13, Godspeed.
Same thing. I had the same exact conversation with my son last summer, so I totally align with that. So, ladies, it's already time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
If I know, but so I want to ask each one of you, if you had one piece of advice to give someone that's going through the same thing you're going through right now, what would it be? Kanisha, I'll start with you. Because you're going through it. It's fresh.
It's super fresh.
It's fresh.
Yeah. Honestly, just go through the process, feel the feelings. No matter how dark it gets, the grief is real. It's a real life thing to, they say grief for people that are not here, but to grieve somebody that's in your face, you watching somebody deteriorate in front of you is just, to me, a different dimension of grief. And I just say go through the process and feel the feels, and just know that you will come out. Because I did not think the sun was going to shine.
Yeah.
But baby, honey.
Look at you. You glowing, girl. You glowing. Black.
To piggyback off what you said was basically, because you were saying about the crying. I want to encourage anybody, man or woman, going through divorce. Crying is part of your process. It's part of your purging. It's part of your freedom. Do not stop yourself from crying. That is how you're getting better. You will see the cry slows down, but just keep going. And also go to griefshare.com, because they have divorcee classes for people that goes through divorces.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. So because I got married, I'm going to say, do not in your life think that you are done with love, because you're not. Regardless of what someone may have done to you or what you've experienced, it's just a small part of your story. But you have so much more to explore that you don't even understand. The type of love, we didn't even touch on that. Like the type of love that comes after you know what you want and what you don't want. You know who you are. You know what you deserve. It's so sexy.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to feel everything, like she said. Be vulnerable, because diving into work to avoid it is just going to take your healing process longer. So let it out, whatever it is. You might want to cry, yell, scream, throw something, do what you got to do. But know that whenever you're ready, you will have the opportunity to find your real husband.
Wow, I love it.
Real husband.
Real husband.
For me, I would just say, give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
We as women, depending on your personality type, right? If you're a personality, a perfectionist, or this, a girl, I gotta be married by 30. Life happens. Give yourself grace, and give yourself the space to feel those things.
Yeah.
It's a part of your journey, right? It's a part of how you make it to the other side. To see the sun shine and all the the quirky little things again. But I would say, give yourself grace.
That's good. Yeah.
It was an amazing conversation, ladies.
Yes,
It was
ladies.
amazing.
It
was.
So much. So before we go, look at the camera. Tell everybody where can they find you. If you have social media, please share the information.
So I'm Canisha Warren. You can catch me on Instagram, Canisha Warren Act 2. And that's CANISHA Warren Act 2.
Well, you already know it's your girl, Black Pearl. Welcome to my world. Okay, anyway, you can catch me on Instagram, Black Pearl World, TikTok, Black Pearl Show. And if you're a Facebooker, then it's my government, Lakeisha Harris.
Government name.
You can find me on Instagram at Adrianna with 2 N's, Onubogu, Onubogu, and my website, www.adriannaonubogu.com.
Thank you.
And you guys can find me on Instagram. It's Miss_Christian.
So thank you for an amazing show, everyone.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you to you guys for tuning in to another episode of Pillow Talk with Jess. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you again to our amazing sponsors, Maiden Beauty and Dream Aesthetics. Follow me on Instagram at Jess Black and the Pillow Talk with Jess page. Thank you.
Yeah.